Lovely stuff. Guys, give me a mic check there. Let's see how we go. Michael check. Boom. Okay, we're going to go live on that as well. Lovely stuff. Guys, good evening to you. Crypto with Dinny. And of course, sure it's Dinny here. I want to talk about what I'm calling a bullish Black Swan event. So remember in May 2020, we had that Black Swan event. And we closed the world for a year. And some people think there's not going to be consequences to that, but I've been explaining to people there will be consequences, and we're going to start living through them shortly. But anyway, people in crypto, don't sell yet, okay? Don't sell yet. Anyone on YouTube, just throw a comment in. Let me know if the sound is okay, because I have the headphones in, and I'm just testing something out. I'm testing out the mic and testing out the headphones. So throw a comment in. Let me know what it sounds like. Anyway, I haven't heard anyone on crypto YouTube talking about what I think is a bullish Black Swan event. And I think it's important because there's a lot of bad news, okay? And if you follow me on Instagram, guys, you'll see I put out, what did I even say? Let's see what I said. It was some beautiful quote. Beautiful, amazing quote. There's the head in me. All right. But this is the crack, okay? Here we go. Tuesday Dinny bomb. Nobody ever got rich selling something that everyone else was already selling. All right. That ship has sailed. If you're selling a product and everyone's in the game and you're late to the game, you ain't going to get rich doing that, okay? You want to be selling before. When people are buying, that's when you're selling, okay? When people are selling, that's when you're, let's hear you. Yeah, buddy, that's when you're buying, okay? Because if you truly are going to be an investor, you've got to not follow the herd. Investors front run the herd, okay? So we position ourselves early, okay? Now, I want to talk to you a little about what I call a bullish Black Swan event. It's pretty cool. I've heard, of course, the GOAT of analogies. Michael Saylor touched on this, and it sent me down the rabbit hole and got me thinking about it a little bit because it changes the game. Guys, let me just give my little intro. Crypto with Dinny, it's Dinny here. Please don't take this as financial advice. Do I look like a financial advisor? I'm a Bitcoiner, crypto investor. I consult with financial advisors, private individuals, businesses, but I never done the test. So don't take it as financial advice. Be aware of scammers in the comments impersonating me. There will be no competition. Well, there might be a competition, but we won't be giving you a Bitcoin or anything like that. So don't fall for any of that silly stuff. And remember your daily exercise. If you haven't done it already, stretch out the index finger, approach the button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, have the crack, become part of the community. Now, so what I want to talk to you is about, it's what I call fundamental news. So as investors, like technicals, and you have all that daily noise and volatility and charting and all that stuff. And that's what distracts people from crypto. They think they have to know all that stuff if they're going to get involved in it. And what that is that's all noise. And it's a great way to give your money to people who are professionals at trading and in those markets. So that's why I don't do it. I don't need to do it. Life is much easier when you don't do it. Okay. And I focus more on fundamentals. Fundamentals to me are the most important thing when I'm looking at the future of something, the outlook of something. Is, well, what do the fundamentals look like? They look good. All right, boom. Happy days. I'll position myself early until the fundamentals come into play. So one of the fundamentals of Bitcoin, I'll explain. And by the way, some of this might be a little bit over your head if you haven't done my basics course, so you don't basically understand how Bitcoin works. So shameless plug, the course is free. It's Thursday week. I do it every fortnight. Get a ticket on www.cryptowithdinny.com. Let me teach you the basics. This will all make sense. So in case it's not, that is your signal to come and jump on the Bitcoin basics with me. But the way Bitcoin works anyway, we have miners, okay? But, and even, I never seen this coming. And I've heard that billionaire investor, Kevin O'Leary, speaking about this. And I should have known. He got in and he was fecking up to no good. And he had insider information, as all these guys have, okay? And he was I was getting nibbles of the information, okay? But Bitcoin miners are now going public. 20 Bitcoin miners are now public companies, all right? This is huge because it changes everything, okay? Marathon, Riot, Hut 8, Argo, all right? When a company goes public, they can raise capital. They have access to money, okay? That changes their business model. Previously, when Bitcoin miners weren't public companies, it was sort of like a cash business. They bought electricity, they mined Bitcoin, they sold the Bitcoin to pay for the electricity, and that was the business model. They couldn't hodl Bitcoin. They couldn't buy Bitcoin. They were just they were creating Bitcoin, selling the Bitcoin, and they had their margin. And that was their profit. That was their cash business. And we had that Bitcoin then go to the exchanges. If you're wondering where the Bitcoin comes from, miners mine the Bitcoin. They sell it to the exchange. The exchange sells it to us or to countries or to hedge funds or to whoever's buying it. Insurance companies, endowments, whatever. But that's the little triangle. Miners to exchanges to OTC brokers or us, whatever. Okay? But with the miners going public, and now that they're capitalized, they don't need to sell their Bitcoin because they've got all this public market capital behind them. Okay? So that's why I'm calling it a bullish black swan event, because, well, what happens if the miners stop selling the Bitcoin? There is no Bitcoin. We know the reason why we are all long Bitcoin is because we believe, well, we don't believe, we understand, being a better word, that this thing is a finite asset. So gold, physical gold, little coin there, worth 1,600 quid. It's scarce, but it's not finite. It's scarce, and that's why it's very valuable. But Bitcoin improved on this timeless characteristic, and it made it finite. So that's why I see more value in Bitcoin. So miners don't have to sell their Bitcoin. Miners are able to mine Bitcoin and keep Bitcoin, okay? And they're able to raise more and more capital now that they're public. So guess what they're doing with that capital? This is crazy. Like, this is insane stuff. And again, this isn't like Bitcoin's going to 10 million tomorrow or next week. This is fundamental analysis, okay? So yes, Bitcoin will be at 20 grand next month. Could be at 50 grand, 60 grand, 80 grand next month. Who knows? I don't. I certainly don't. If it's at 20 grand, I'm a buyer. If it's at 80 grand, I'm still a buyer because I'm dollar cost averaging. And that protects me from these massive market volatility. So you don't get wrecked. Like, when the market draws back down, you don't get wrecked. A lot of people are bleeding because they're too greedy at 60K and now they want to sell at 30K. But I told us to crack there. Okay. So because they've raised capital, Riot raised 600 million. Okay. This is the sort of money that's coming in. Marathon, they raised around 600 million as well. Serious money. Okay. So what are they doing with their money? One, they're not selling their Bitcoin, but this is where it gets really interesting, I think. They're fucking buying Bitcoin. Like, think about what's happening there, all right? Miners are buying Bitcoin. Hold on a minute. Let me just process that in my head. So these guys, they're making Bitcoin, they're not selling it, and they're going out into the market and buying more. What's wrong with them? Like, whenever has there been producers of a product, okay, who are making as much as they can, like, rationalize this in any other business. This is why Bitcoin is so different than anything else we have. They're making as much of a product as they can, and hit the like button if you're learning, hit the like button if you get value. It motivates me to do more and have the crack. They're making as much Bitcoin as they can, okay? They're not selling any because they don't need to. And with the extra capital, they're going out into the open market and they're buying from their competition the same product. It's crazy, okay? What that's going to do is you've 20 public miners now, and they're not selling their Bitcoin. They're hodling. You see, any Bitcoin miner is long Bitcoin. It means that they believe in Bitcoin. They believe in Bitcoin in the long term. So they want to hold it for as long as possible. Who regrets selling their Bitcoin? Answer that question in the comments there. Has anyone ever sold Bitcoin? Okay. Who regrets selling their Bitcoin? Everyone regrets selling their Bitcoin is the answer to that question. Okay. Because any miners who mined Bitcoin in 2015, do you think they'd prefer if they still had it on their balance sheet or that they sold it in 2015? And any of these miners that sold Bitcoin in 2017 for like 10 grand, 2 grand, even at 20 grand, do you think they regret selling it? Would they prefer to kept it? Of course they would. Okay, so nobody ever wants to sell their Bitcoin because it's always going up in value. So what we have is we have producers of a product who are creating as much as they can, not selling it, and buying more from their competition. Okay, what does that do to the fundamentals? Well, we have this thing called the stock to flow. Plan B is price analysis chart. It changes the stock to flow. At the minute, Bitcoin and gold share around the same stock to flow. They both have around the same scarcity. Next year, Bitcoin becomes more scarce than gold. So, it becomes the best monetary asset that anyone can own, in my opinion, my biased opinion, being a Bitcoiner. But again, just looking at the fundamentals. Okay, so the Bitcoiners aren't selling. And if we try and stack that up to gold, and I like gold, like I like precious metals, I like protecting my purchasing power. But how does it stack up to gold? Gold miners are the enemy of me. I'm a gold investor. Look, I've bought this coin. It cost me 1,600 quid. Gold miners are my enemy. I hate them. Do you know why? Because the more gold they make, it devalues this that I have. Have you ever heard? You've never heard of gold miners mining gold and not selling it? No. They're selling gold when they think they have a mine full of gold before they even get the feckin' thing. Okay? But challenge that to Bitcoin's monetary network, where the Bitcoin miners are like Bitcoin's army. Okay? They defend the network with their life because they're so long Bitcoin. They've millions invested in the hardware, and they have even more of sweat equity and personal equity invested in Bitcoin, the asset. So they defend Bitcoin with their life. Okay? So the Bitcoin miners are not the enemy of Bitcoin. They're the ally of Bitcoin. And they understand that by hodling Bitcoin, Bitcoin's price goes up. And if they hold Bitcoin as much as they can, well, their equity goes up, the valuation of their company in the public markets. So their investors win, and they win, and Bitcoiners win. Everybody wins, as opposed to gold miners who are constantly trying to suppress the price of gold. Interesting, isn't it? So what happens if none of these miners sell? Obviously, Bitcoin is going to come to the market. We'll have volatility. But when miners are no longer forced to sell, it's going to put a tighter squeeze. There's going to come a time when exchanges, think of them as supermarket shelves, the shelves are going to get empty. And these publicly traded miners who are capitalized, who have capital behind them, they don't need to sell. That's why it's called number go up technology. That's why I think a lot of people are sleeping on this fact. And I haven't really heard people talking about that. But like I say, this is a chance to front run all that. Price corrections, to me, in my investment thesis, not investment advice, just Dinny's opinion, these are gifts. And when we set our portfolio up, we can take advantage of these price corrections. Guys, let me know what you think of that. Does it make sense? Does that make sense to you? Do you think there's any value in this miners little setup where they're not going to be bringing the same amount of Bitcoin to market? Do you think we might see that price squeeze? I think we will. I think the next couple of years are going to get super interesting because this has changed the game. This was not in what are known knowns. It's only last year we got miners going public, and now we've 20 of them public because they were private companies, so they weren't capitalized. Now they're capitalized, they don't have to sell. Pay attention. Okay, so I'll give you one more little Dinny bomb, little bit of info. Again, what I call fundamental analysis. So Bill Miller came out a couple of weeks ago, said he was 50% allocate to Bitcoin, half his personal net worth. All right. So smart money is now interested. We've Ray Dalio advises presidents of countries, governments all over the world, one of the best hedge fund managers living. Paul Tudor Jones, pretty much same category of money manager. But how are they feeling now that Bill Miller, the only guy to beat the S&P 500 for 15 years straight, only one human's ever done it, and it's him, is 50% allocated, and they're at 5%. Do you think they have their thinking cap on going, crap, we could be under allocated to this thing? Miller's fecking 50%. Okay, what about the other plebs that are sitting on the sidelines and are no-coiners? And they're like, right, we're no-coiners. Yeah, one of the smartest money managers in the world who's the only human to beat the S&P for 15 years straight is 50%, and we're at 0%. We've got a problem here. Obviously, it takes time for them to figure out this problem, for them to do the diligence, for them to change and do all their paperwork, what they need to do, get permission from their shareholders, all this sort of jazz. It can take a period of years, but the process has started, okay? And the process isn't going away. It's only going to keep going and continue. But you see, smart money's smart. I'm a retailer, so I'm like a pleb. I'm not smart traditionally. I'll buy Bitcoin when it's pumping. Smart money's not interested in buying Bitcoin when it's on a tear. And it's tearing from, we went pretty much from $6,000 to 60. Smart money is not interested there. They say, when the ship leaves, if you arrive late to the port and ship is gone, tough luck. You're not going on the boat. But when the institutions and the smart money arrive late, they call up the captain and they say, bring back the boat, bring her back to me there. You can't be leaving me behind. And that's exactly what happens. So smart money wasn't interested in Bitcoin when it was tearing up to 60 grand. But I think now that we're back at whatever we're at, around 30, these levels, smart money is now interested. Now they can buy. Retail have came in, they've pumped it up. Smart money has dumped on them. Retail has lost their money. That's how it goes. The capital is passed from the sophisticated, from the unsophisticated to the sophisticated, or from the impatient to the patient, or from the greedy to those with strategies. Everything I teach on my workshops, shameless plug. Check them out. They cost 200. You won't have lost thousands over the last few weeks if you hadn't done them. Because I teach how to be immune to all this stuff, the emotions of fear and greed. Okay, so smart money is now interested. Smart money, I think it's going to start allocating at these levels. Who knows? We'll probably draw down a little bit lower. More people could bleed. I don't know, short term. But long term, with miners not selling, with miners buying up Bitcoin, like I'm a buyer of Bitcoin, but now the fucking miners, the lads who are making it, are buying it off their competition. And investors like Bill Miller having a 50% allocation. Things are looking bright. Things are looking bright. I know it's the Red Sea out there and everyone's selling, but I'm not a seller when everyone's selling. I'm a buyer when everyone's selling. And I might be selling a bit when everyone's buying. Guys, I hope you got some value from that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for doing your daily exercise, smashing the like button. Hit the share button if you did get some value too. That'd be awesome. Give me feedback on the YouTube, what the sound was like with the old headphones. Hopefully it was a little bit better. And Facebook, guys, I see we have a good crew on there. Like, share. Guys, also, I've been on a mission to get on more podcasts and explain the basics of Bitcoin to people. So if you have any connections with podcasts, or if you yourself have a podcast, get me on. All I want is a platform. I just want to explain this thing in simple layman's terms, because Bitcoin is for everyone and we all need it. We're at 40-year inflation highs now. People will be destroyed over this decade by inflation. And Bitcoin is the solution. Bitcoin can help you protect it. You don't have to take much risk. You can have a 1% allocation and that can protect you. It's more risky not to have Bitcoin in your portfolio. So having all your money in euros is more risky than having 99% in euros and 1% in Bitcoin. And that's not me who said that. That was Paul Tudor Jones. That was Ray Dalio. These smart money managers, much smarter than me. They've came to the conclusion that it de-risks the portfolio to have a Bitcoin allocation. And that's why every single one of them has it. Stan Druckenmiller, just the list goes on and on and on and on. Go onto Twitter. Listen to the billionaires. Don't just listen to Crypto With Dinny. I'm not a billionaire. Not yet. And if you need to learn Bitcoin's basics, get onto my free workshop, cryptowithdinny.com. Get a ticket. They're free. Let me teach you the basics. Get me on podcast. We'll have the crack. We'll have the banter. Miners are buyers of Bitcoin. I'm a buyer of Bitcoin. I think everyone should be a buyer of Bitcoin. Dollar cost averaging. Of course. Guys, have an awesome Tuesday evening. Thanks for all the likes. Anyone who hasn't done your daily exercise, your health is your wealth, lads. You're only cutting yourself. Get the fucking finger out there. It helps the algorithm. So we really appreciate the likes and shares and the comments. Guys, have an awesome day and or awesome evening or wherever you're catching this. I will get in and delete all my scam comments now on Facebook. Take care. Thanks for being here. Dinny out. Boop. Thanks, guys.